Isaac, it's me. I wish I could talk to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about everything. I wish I could just talk to someone. It's all falling apart here. I can't believe what's happening. It's strange. Such a little thing.
How many times you watched that thing? Guess you really miss her. Don't worry, we're almost there. You'll be able to look her up once we're on board. Sounds like you do have a lot of catching up to do.
The survival horror genre isn't nearly as populated as a lot of genres in the video game industry. It's a difficult sort of genre to develop with a very selective demographic, and we've only seen a few different titles pull it off successfully over the past few years amidst a crowd of opposing failures. Dead Space is, thankfully, one of those rare success stories, which you'll soon find out if you haven't already.
Gravity tethers engaged. Automatic docking procedures a go.
What the hell?
Sir, the auto dock.
What is it?
We're off track. We're gonna hit the hull.
Isaac Clarke and his small shuttle crew are on a search and rescue mission to repair the USG Ishimura, an enormous deep space mining vessel that recently lost contact with the rest of its fleet. It's not long, however, until their shuttle gets disabled during docking procedures, and the small maintenance team are stranded on the massive Ishimura, almost immediately attacked by grotesque and hostile life forms. From here on, Isaac is mostly cut off from the rest of his crew as they attempt to both repair the derelict ship and find out what the hell these alien creatures really are. Instead of cutscenes or briefings, the narrative plays out in both scripted cutaway sequences and on-the-fly messages from Isaac's crew. If you pay attention, you can even find audio logs and cryptic records from the Ishimura's crew that offer some extra details into the game's backstory. The story doesn't carry as much weight as games like BioShock or Resident Evil 4, but it does succeed at what it tries to do, and given the obscure nature of the plot, it definitely holds your attention until the bitter end.
Get to the medical deck and find that rig as fast as you can.
What was that?
Isaac is not a soldier. He has no military background, and he is not trained to fight. He's a technical systems engineer. He's trained and experienced in tasks that surround deep space mining, like industrial drilling, shipping slag away from mineral deposits, and using explosives to excavate raw material. Because of this, you're not going to find any shotguns or assault rifles lying around the decks of the Ishimura, and you'll find industrial tools like plasma cutters, blowtorches, the drill-like contact beam, and the futuristic remote saw instead. You'll also use the stasis module, which can slow down enemies or other fast-moving objects, and the kinesis module, which can pick up, move, and throw objects from a distance. These two tools are less offensive in nature and used mostly for puzzle solving, but you can still incorporate them into the combat. The enemies are both terrifying and monstrous, even if a bit repetitive. They relentlessly stalk you, and they'll sometimes even use the ship's vent system to get at you from different angles. It's impressive. Dead Space's design is somewhat similar to the smash hit Resident Evil 4, which is not a bad thing. There are some differences, however, like hotkeys for weapons and health packs, and, as you'll notice, there is no traditional heads-up display. There's a huge emphasis on dismemberment. Since the enemies are extraterrestrial in nature, they don't have the same sort of weak spots as traditional zombies and the like. Instead, you're encouraged to experiment in cutting different limbs off each enemy, since it's never quite clear when you'll hit the sweet spot. This can be both entertaining and intense as enemies slowly close in as you attempt to find their weak spot, and the weapons are certainly up to the task. You can even upgrade your equipment and purchase new items or more ammunition at various stores scattered around the ship. And for those who prefer more traditional firearms over power tools, there's also a pulse rifle included in the game's arsenal, just for you. The game also incorporates several other elements aside from the corridor roaming and bloody dismemberment, like platforming, puzzle solving, and even a couple rail shooting sequences. Fighting grotesque enemies from an over-the-shoulder perspective is pretty commonplace nowadays, but try doing it in zero gravity while your oxygen meter slowly counts down your doom. You can refill your oxygen with air cans or at oxygen refill stations, but managing this while you're trying to solve puzzles and fight enemies gives the survival part of the genre a whole new meaning. The zero-G sections aren't always accompanied by a lack of oxygen, however, and the platforming you do in zero gravity is unlike anything we've ever seen. Boss battles are few and far between, but the infrequency of bosses makes the few you fight much more incredible. You're probably looking at a solid 10-hour game and a very satisfying one at that. Once you do finish, you're given the option to play through again with your newly upgraded equipment, and you won't be able to upgrade everything in one playthrough. Whether or not that's a good enough reason for multiple playthroughs depends on how much you enjoyed the first trip. The creepy ambiance of each environment and grotesque enemies waiting around each corner are more than enough to satisfy horror fans. Regardless of what you enjoy, this is an incredible survival horror game that offers some refreshing differences from other games of the same breed. Dead Space draws on some familiar themes from some of the most memorable science fiction films ever made, and surprisingly, manages to deliver yet another haunting and memorable experience of its own.